It's been a busy day. With Marvel releasing the Ironheart trailer earlier this morning, now DC has dropped the full-length trailer for Superman. So in this video, we're going to break down the trailer, look at some of the unique things I think this movie is going to be doing, and just talking about what I think is probably one of the most exciting movies of 2025. I have to say, the marketing for Superman so far has been top-notch. When that first teaser dropped back in December, nearly 5 months ago, I initially thought, great, we're probably going to know everything about the movie before it even hits the big screen. I'm so used to current blockbusters getting 3 or 4 2 to 3 minute trailers before the movie even releases, all within a month or month and a half from each other, where we pretty much know the entire plot of what the movie is going to be. But I think James Gunn does a really good job with how to market his movie and the way he cuts together trailers. We also saw this with his Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy and the Suicide Squad. It's no secret that he knows how to put together a really great trailer that doesn't reveal too much about what the movie is going to be. And Superman is no exception. With the teaser being over 2 minutes, I was really wondering what else a full-length trailer could offer to this movie. But James Gunn did not disappoint. First off, I want to apologize that I'm not going to be able to use clips from the actual trailer in this video. WB is really weird about using footage from their properties, and you probably have noticed if you've watched some of our earlier DC related videos. But whenever we tend to use a clip from a DC movie, we get a copyright claim. So I apologize for that. I'll use stills from the trailer whenever I can, and supplement the footage with some Superman related gameplay. First off, the first thing we learn about the DC universe is that Lois Lane knows that Clark Kent is Superman. This has become kind of the standard for adaptations of Superman, and I do feel we kinda lose some of that dynamic between Clark Kent and Lois Lane. I've just always liked that idea that despite being around both of them so often, her mind can't wrap around the idea of Clark Kent being Superman. But I really like the dynamic that these two characters share, and I think that David Cornsweet really proves himself as a very charismatic and charming Superman. And ultimately, I do trust James Gunn's vision with this character. He seems to care a lot about Superman and all of the characters that surround him. We also get another look at Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., who we saw last week in the trailer for Peacemaker Season 2. And of course, this character was the central protagonist of the first DCU series, Creature Commandos. It seems like Rick Flag Sr. is going to be kind of playing the Nick Fury role in the early DCU projects. He was a general leading the Creature Commandos in that series, and it seems like in Superman they're alluding to the idea that he could be the Secretary of Defense in addition to the director of Argus. We see him later on alongside who I'm assuming is a version of Ultraman in the movie. The speculation is that this is Metamorpho and Lex Luthor is trying to brand him as the Superman replacement, but we also see the Engineer alongside them who will later on appear in a movie about the Authority. I also have to say I really like the idea of Superman being at odds with the American government and whose interests he best represents. This is something I felt like was tackled very poorly in a movie like Batman v Superman. Whether you agree or disagree with me, though, is based on your opinion of that movie. I don't really like it that much, and that whatever they were trying to say about Superman's position on global politics was just not well done. Superman intervening in a war is very comic Superman, and I really like that idea. And something else that the earlier teaser really gave us a look at is the fact that Superman is going to be fighting more than one superpowered being. A character known as the Hammer of Baravia is also going to be in the movie, and seems to be some kind of mechanized version of Superman. And of course, the one moment in the trailer I could see everybody pointing to as a big point of contention between this movie and Man of Steel is the fact that Superman tries to lead the fight away from the city. I think a lot of the conversation this movie is going to be having is who exactly are the good and bad guys in the DC universe. We see the Engineer working with Rick Flag Sr., who is considered one of the heroes in this universe. His appearance in Creature Commandos really solidified that, and I'm assuming James Gunn is just trying to get the idea of superheroes and legislation out of the DC universe. It's become such a vital part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's plotlines that I'm glad he's separating the DC universe right out the gate. But later on we see the Engineer working with Lex Luthor, fighting Krypto, several of Superman's robots, in an attempt to infiltrate the Fortress of Solitude. Now I'm wondering if the Authority is already going to exist within the DC universe, or if we're going to see the inspiration come from the comic run Superman and the Authority, and Superman is going to be kind of responsible for forming the team himself. I think that speaks to what Superman's role is going to be in the DC universe, creating teams that kind of exist outside of any kind of government structures. And that includes the team that's going to consist of Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl. I'm wondering if they're going to start off as a version of the Justice Society of America, who we saw a version of in Black Adam, and that will lead to Superman later needing to form his own team and kind of just creating the Justice League out of that. But when we're talking about the Justice League, we're probably looking like 6 or 7 movies down the line. Earlier today, David Zaslav, who is the CEO of WB Discovery, said that the 4 pillars of the DC universe are going to be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Supergirl. Now, Supergirl just finished filming and it's going to be released next year. Currently, the DCU's version of Batman is in limbo. We know that The Brave and the Bold is going to be the first planned movie in the DC universe, but the movie doesn't even have a screenwriter yet or an estimated release date. As far as Wonder Woman in the DC universe, we don't even have a movie for her on the slate. When James Gunn announced his intentions for the DC universe, though, he did say that Paradise Lost would be the first thing focusing on the Amazonians in the DC universe. That too is in development without any information known about it, though. Right now it seems like the main goal is just to release movies that filmmakers are excited about making. And depending on the success of Superman and the attention that certain characters get, James Gunn is willing to kind of bend the release schedule based on what people want to see. For example, I don't want to wait another 5 years to see another Superman movie. If Superman is good enough and James Gunn wants to get the ball rolling on a sequel right away, we shouldn't have to wait for an entire phase of movies to finish up before we get the next one, especially if Superman ends up making a ton of money for WB. And so far, Superman is setting the precedent that a movie centered around one character doesn't have to only be about that character. Superman is at the center of the movie and the movie is about him, but we can also have an ensemble of other superhero characters. As for my final thoughts on the trailer, I just have to say Crypto continues to look very great. The anti-Crypto people just really make me laugh with how ridiculous a lot of their complaints are. This is a character people are going to love, as well as this depiction of Lex Luthor. I wasn't too sure about Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, but the more I see of him, the happier I am with this casting decision. I wasn't sure how this interpretation was going to be since the last time we casted kinda young with Jesse Eisenberg, we got a very weird and unhinged adaptation of Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult is going much more original, and I get a lot of Michael Rosenbaum Lex Luthor vibes from this performance. That's all I have to say about the trailer though. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about the trailer for Superman. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.